I apologize. There may be a brief glitch in this. I'll try to fasten copies together. I don't know if this will load onto the other thing. But I am back. Uh, Quasar, you were asking a question of George directly with Jordan when I got cut off.
Sir Jor, I know you believe that the Jedi way is too limiting and restrictive, that one should open their mind to all the possibilities. And yet, you have not strayed toward the other side, where there is no limit. Why have you not? And I drew a card, I haven't flipped. Oh, you did. Okay, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Uh, yeah,
You
cool.
can keep it.
Thanks. Um, hmm. As much as I rail against the Jedi and their order and their rules and their narrow-minded focus, the same is true of the Sith. They just focus on different things, which limits your limits their potential. Both sides could be much stronger if they adapted anything of the other into themselves. But they see that as a weakness, as a flaw. But I think you know as much as any of us that we're all flawed. And don't know if the Jedi's crimes are any more innocent than the Sith's, but they certainly appear that way. And I think in his mind, Jorah is like living out the injustices that he saw the Jedi um, enforce through their sort of like political machinations and using people like Tristan to sort of like do the will of the Jedi in order to like push the arc of history towards righteousness or whatever. Um, and at the same time, there's these scenes of the Sith doing that, but with like violence and there's like so much more death and destruction in the forefront of that philosophy um, that I think that's the thing that kept Jorah from. And maybe Jorah preaches a little bit stronger than he's personally experienced or actually truly believes, because I think there's if we're looking at it as a linear one side to the other spectrum or a dichotomy, like the darkest parts of the dark side of the force may be something that Jorah hasn't like fully exposed himself to. And so um yeah, I think yeah. I,
That's a good montage flashback. I mean, I like that. But the question will be how you answer that to Quasar in the present.
right. Um why haven't I embraced that? Hmm. Yeah, maybe there's just that's so tough. It's so hard when you're
Yeah.
pushed up against your beliefs, right? Like The power of the Force ebbs and flows like a tide. And sometimes things influence that tide. Rocks, gravity, wind. And the things that influence that tide aren't necessarily of the Force, but that can change the Force. And this darkness, lowercase d, darkness, feels like one of those interruptions. So I haven't let myself explore it fully for fear that that corruption might be too deep and it might not be something the Force can heal on its own.
I applaud your self-restraint, because if more powerful teachers in the world go down the path as easily as some have, none of us would have a community to go back to.
Cut there. Axe comes down. We're going to go to the end game. So
Awesome.
everyone should draw a card, their 5th card for themselves, and put it in your area. So I'm going to take mine, put it over here, and flip it face up. 9, another face card. Okay. So, all right. This is how that works. We're now going to go through the end game, and we are going to go around, and each of us is going to contribute a detail to the battle as we kind of get to the next day, and then we'll go through the chronicle and do some card exchanges on that. So let's look at the character list. Yeah, we have. So I think that uh, I'll start just to get. So I like to imagine that this first bit is we see ourselves prepped. The lightning is still there, but I think we see that glow in the clouds, and we start to see those ships descending, the Dathomiri ships. Maybe it's a whole new model, so we can sell some new toys that we haven't seen before. And it comes down, and we see the purple lightning that we've seen at maybe starts crackling further, like it's force lightning. And keep going in kind of reverse order. Brushman, what's another detail that we see here in the lead up to the battle?
The they're sending out. I remember seeing that the Night Sisters have those cocoons where the the enemies come out of the cocoons.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that right? In which game was it? Do you know, Sabine? I forgot the name of the game.
I have not played any of the games. I know that from the somewhere in the Clone Wars era,
Okay.
they had that happen with the cocoons, and then the dead Night Sisters came out of there and attacked everybody.
So that's those cocoons are shot down
Oh,
to the uh planet near
oh,
the base.
nice cocoon drop pods. I love it.
Yes.
Master Tristan, what's another thing we see here in this lead up to the battle?
That's me.
Yes,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Okay.
You were looking at the Lego set.
Yes. No, for some reason I thought Casey was Mr. Tristan. Well, sorry. Um, yeah, what was the idea? Oh yeah. Because it says our allies are starting to panic, and I think some of the Jedi who have lost their powers and are wounded are kind of like we need to retreat, we can't face them here. And there's a bit of an argument and general kind of confusion, I think, sets in. Who is going to do what and who's going to connect to the Kyber, and should we maybe just take the crystal and run, however we would do that, you know.
Awesome. Awesome. And Jor Arana, what's another detail of the battle before I kind of go and start walking through this battle countdown, the battle chronicle?
Yeah, I feel like as those like cocoon pods are like hammering into the ground, and there's maybe some like explosive and like seismic action. I think those sort of like worn, faceless Jedi statues we saw in the opening in the temple start to like crumble and fall apart.
Nice. So I'm going to walk through the battle chronicle. We have 7 of the 10 boxes marked on the battle chronicle. Uh, when I mention a thing from the battle chronicle, you may at that point decide if you have a star marked. You may opt to turn one of those in to trade out. You can offer someone one of your red cards or one of your black cards. If you offer them one of your red cards, they can choose whether to accept or decline. If you offer one of them one of your black cards, they have to take it and give you a red. Essentially, you have to swap opposites in this. So we start the enemy's mass outside, as we said, those numbers that dwarf our own. We see those ships come down. We see the cocoons landing. We see them coming there. That is our first step on that countdown. And then, and feel free to stop me at any point you want to trade cards. And then the enemy breaks through those outer defenses, those defenses that Quasar has described them setting up, some of those barriers and booby traps and things like that. They break through that. They make it in. We see the Night Sisters. We probably in the background can see our Jedi Master leading this. And they make it in to where we have the Kyber crystals, make it into the object. What do we think we lose in that fight?
Some of our Jedi.
Okay. Some of those Jedi who have been healing, have been resting, have been recovering on those front lines. We lose them. That sort of last batch of the wounded Jedi.
I want to trade a card.
Okay. What do you want to trade?
I want to trade one of my black cards, and I want to trade it with one of your red cards, Brushman.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Are you okay
No,
with
if you're not okay with that, you have to do this by the rules. But if you say, "Oh no, I don't want to do this," then
I cannot refuse. You're giving me a black, I cannot refuse.
Correct.
no. But I
So-
wanted to ask if you're, as a player, are totally opposed to this.
Okay.
If not, I will give you this
Okay.
black one, and I'll take your red heart.
Okay.
Your red 8.
Excellent. So the enemy triumphs and destroys those first defenders. We hear the blaster fire, we see the forces. Many are cut down, and we are forced to pull back and regroup down into the base, past those things, probably shutting blast doors as we go, trying to get them freed. But I think that there are so many of them. They trap us, and some of the other allies we had left, some of the other friends are going to fall into the chaos of this battle, pushed back yet further. And then they and we are in the heart of the base. Those people that we tried to protect, those non-combatants, those civilians fall. The numbers are, we're taking some down, but the numbers are still there. And then the enemy has the base overrun, seizing the last of our defenses, the blast doors, all of those things being grabbed, taken, held. So we can look at our stats here, and we can see how it ended up, how things are. We're going to have a chance to narrate that. As it stands right now, it looks like that Chana and Quasar are going to survive. It does not look like Tristan or Jor is going to survive in that ratio of red to black.
Isn't it after we decide on the battle conclusion?
Let's see here.
No?
Without flashbacks, conflict round. Contributes to detail. Spend their points of destiny. The characters whose cards are mostly black survive. Those with red cards aren't so lucky. But we're going to talk about the death scenes and narrating that in just a moment. So pull all of your cards into your hand. And then flip one of those cards over, red or black, and put it in the center, face down. And then we're going to randomly choose one of those, and that's going to tell us what happens. So I'm going to move these around here, so you'll excuse me while I do that for a bit. Okay, this card I'm going to put next to the deck, and this is the one I'm about to flip to see whether the enemy conquers or whether we triumph and the enemy is defeated. Is everybody ready? It is a black card. It is, as I imagine, a close run thing that we managed to defeat them. So at this point, we actually kind of go to epilogues. If you survived, you do an epilogue. If you did not survive, you do a tragic ending. So let's start with epilogue, and then we'll go tragic and epilogue tragic. How does that sound? Do you want me to go first, Quasar?
We don't get a chance to narrate part of what the fighting looks like, right?
I think in this epilogue, in this description, you get to describe kind of what happened and the fighting in general and what the end of it is.
So I think Quasar moved between different groups of fighters to resupply them with disruption bombs as needed, but also to help morale. They tried to convince Tristan not to throw their lives away, but I think Tristan has made up their mind, and so Quasar did not want to take away that heroic moment, and just says, "Open your mind to the possibilities. Maybe you can still reach for the power. We still are in proximity to these kyber crystals. Something might work. Don't give up. Don't give up." And then with Chana, they're going. I've heard rumors of how people treat your special gift, but it is still a gift. You can, if you can kill them with kindness, you can still kill them. And with Jor, it will be, if there is any way for you to communicate with the new center through this power that you still have, please, this might be the last miracle. And I know you can bring the balance because we are in agreement about the importance of harmony. You can bring her to the true balance, the true center.
Nice. Jor, tell us of your tragic death.
Well, that last bit from Quasar was so good that my brain immediately was started kicking off on that. But my initial thought was, and maybe it all kind of ties in together, but my initial thought was, I think Jor does something with the crystals, right? Like if we're gonna win and it's gonna come down to this thing, it's like I think maybe that sort of like Obi-Wan moment or Yoda moment where like the self-sacrifice, or I guess Luke does it without violence, right? Where like you just become a force ghost um out of like sheer will or whatever, right? You just become one with the force. And maybe like I feel like as the like last desperate thing, using all of this like totality of the force that Jor purports to have, like fuses himself into this crystal, or like possesses this crystal with his force essence, his life essence, and maybe that's what uh, breaks the like maybe that gives the Jedi the access back to the power, or like what unleashes the Force ghosts from the thing to like be able to help in the battle. But it's like the thing that sort of like turns the tide for us, if that's okay with everyone.
And I imagined, like I like to imagine Chana there in the battle, and when the Force ghosts are kind of released, when they're out there moving around, that they're the ones that she accepts their help, she accepts what they can do, and accepts that fight to keep herself alive, to remain true to this and try to help. Even though so many have died here, I think that like we'll definitely see her at the end with so many bodies and burning ships and so on, but her walking away, probably held upright by some of the last of these ghosts, uh, keeping her alive for for the next generation of Jedi. And Tristan, what is your heroic death scene?
I think as all of this goes down and the Force ghosts come out, I think the new center, she's still there, right? And she's like, you think you can defeat me, haha. But I have this, and she holds up her scepter. And well, you know what? Tristan has learned a lesson there. No hand, no scepter. And he just runs up. He doesn't have the Force. He can't, despite the words. Oh, maybe no, wait. Quasar said something about opening himself up, and he opens himself up to everything. And well, he kind of draws on that scepter, which probably wrong, but so his eyes go a little greenish, and he goes up to her and says, "You're not the only one who can use that." And then he chops off basically her hand, and then the Force, and then that disrupts this nebula thing, and that gives the Force ghosts the chance to come out and do everything else. But however, she still has another hand, and she still has a weapon, and she cries no and stabs him, and he laughs at her, and then he dies.
And we would see that the fall of that, the various energies of the Force before the collapse of that. I do think it's only a couple of people and Quasar and John that survive to go on and help rebuild this version of the Jedi Order somewhere in the time of the Knights of the Old Republic.
They go back together to see Master Panushka. Let me check. Sorry.
Panushka.
Panushka. And very sternly says, "You were wrong, Master."
Nice. And that's our very long series here, our one shot. I want to thank you all for coming along on this, even with the sort of 2-part breaks and my internet going out. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I don't know if anybody wants to throw stars here. I just want to say I really enjoyed it. This is a game I've played a couple of times. There's that moment in the setup that's a real pain in the ass with the secrets and balancing all that out. That always is that road bump. But I love the ideas of it, and I really enjoyed playing it with the Star Warsy bits. Like, yeah, that was super fun for me. It actually worked really well. Like, I was surprised at how well it worked in this thing. And this is a particular kind of story trope, that night before the battle, that I love. I love that shit so much. So anyone else, stars you want to throw out?
Hell yeah, there are a lot of stars. I mean, come on. This was Star Wars, and it had stars and war, and so we will all have stars, and stars to all of these characters. I really liked Quasar's being committed to actual peace and diplomacy and drawing harmony from conversation, not from hitting shit. And I also liked Jor, who was a bit more of a gray character, I think, with his yes, and power is very important, and yeah, but still wouldn't go over to the dark side. That was also nice, and I deeply loved Chana, and I loved the secret. I loved that secret that you made up, Lola. You will get an extra huge star for that. That was really fun. But I liked all the secrets, but this one that hit really hard. So yeah.
Awesome. Casey, Freshman?
Sure, yeah. Stars with everybody, obviously. Yeah, super fun. I've often sort of like bemoaned Star Wars. I used to be like a really big fan when I was a kid and stuff, and then whenever you fall off, or capitalism ruins it for you. But I was talking with a friend recently about how role-playing games have like definitely brought the love for the franchise or the universe back. And this has been a ton of fun. But more specifically, there was an early conversation about justice and Brushman, you said whose justice, and I thought that was so good. Like, and early Sabine, you jumped in with a secret reveal like right away that was just like super on point. It was just like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
yes, like okay, that's how you're supposed to do it, right? Yeah, no, it was really good. Yeah, I really like everyone's characters and how everyone kind of committed to their thing, but like, yeah. And I think I saw Brushman say in the chat too, like, thanks for the patience, the space to like think and like let this work. And I can be sometimes a bit slow and reactive to things, and so having that space to come up with where we're going and how we're getting there and all of that, and collaboratively as well, was all really great, really awesome. So yeah, thanks for everybody. That was awesome.
I will say this. So I've run this uh 4 times before in different settings and things like that. I have never had a group that more like paid attention to getting the secrets on the table and getting those conflicts on the table. Like usually it's maybe half of those get marked. So I was really like pleased to see that. That was really fun to see, and those things were really interesting. So I really like that.
I wanted to save everyone, but
Yeah, I
I
know.
think kind of I have to read the room. I hope I didn't read the room wrong. Sabine, you wanted your character's heroic death, right? I
Oh,
didn't want to
hell
say,
yeah.
I'm gonna
Hell
make you live.
yeah. Hell yeah, I wanted to be dead, but this is like the kind of character who dies in a battle, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
We needed that secret weapon. Either Chana would do it or Tristan would do it. And I super appreciate Sabine's knowledge of Star Wars to be able to balance out my having to use modern analogies to fill in the blank because I can't pull up names or pull up concepts. And your yes and no, yes ending is super good. So I'm not so great at that, and I have to learn from all these masters. Everyone here. Low, of course, that connecting, like I know you're trying to connect the dots, and you managed to get there. That is it's always a very inspirational. I want to do that more. It's very hard sometimes. And Jor, sorry, Casey, we are on the same. We feel the same about having to make sure our characters' point of view have uh what is right about them and what is wrong about them, and it's very hard because they are pulled from probably a lot of the uh, current event situations where you I want to argue for one side more than the other. Have to make it work. So yeah, we have the uh, I I'm glad that we can both get there at some point. So to a point. And what else? It's great. Having the time to be able to uh, try very hard to get there is very appreciated. Because 4 hours, no way, this is not
Yeah.
happening.
No, no. Yeah, that it's a I definitely realized that it would have to not take the entire time, but a lot of it. So thanks everybody again.
Yeah, definitely the longest. Sorry, I gotta say, like the longest session I've played in probably since college, and I can
Yes.
tell you it was way more enjoyable. I think about those like 5-6 hour sessions we used to do, like playing whatever, like pull your hair out, like couldn't. Yeah. This was great. This was great.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I am going to stop this recording.